A corrupt government cannot liberate the people. If the head of the stream is corrupt, the entire river will be also. I do not support corruption. Corruption takes money away from children's education. It deprives hospitals of basic necessities. It means that roads are not fixed. Corruption deepens inequality. It siphons off taxpayers' money to make a few cronies richer with the political connections instead of benefiting the people. This government has been doing everything it can to weaken and undermine the Integrity Commission, which is an institution that I designed as Minister of Justice and brought the legislation to Parliament to fight corruption in this country. I have said it before and I will tell you again, Jamaica cannot move forward without a government built on integrity that embraces principles of good governance in this country.
A blessed good day to you, my wisdom warriors. Wagwan, wagwan. I hope you guys are in good spirit, my people. Me say me have a piece of bangarang for Japan Uno. But before me get in at the bangarang, take a listen to this.
2, 3. I promise this lady say me I'll come back so she get the first one. So just I tell her, big up and all the best. You get something to start. It's a start more than anything else. You have to outdoor and have nothing else there. So
should I sleep in a car?
When you can get MVP imports and support and buy one for the friend, buy one for the family, she have enough of them here. I test Miss Chidi Sajad, right?
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Big up yourself, Sonny.
Yeah, man.
Big up.
Import chat, link back.
Save it here.
And big up yourself, Mama.
Thank you. Love it.
Yeah?
Love it. Don't bother cry.
And nobody cry. Go and sleep in your house.
Okay.
You like it? You love it?
I love it. Yeah.
Once you love it, that's all matter.
Don't give me a phone.
No. Oh, do that. Go on.
Don't give me a phone.
Go and go put one. Go and go put one.
Tell her, boy, put the camera for your shot.
Okay, sir.
Go on.
Go and hug up the lady. Go and hug her up to cut it.
Yeah.
Go and hug her up. And makes you feel nice.
Yeah, chat. She get a nice house, 876 import, one Ramesh.
One major market.
One Swiss.
Alright, big up yourself, mommy. Father, you ready?
How much feet? Chat, them say 3.5, but you know, if you pay for ship it and everything, that different. So,
and chat, everybody will ask the price. Tell them. Them will ask, mama. Tell them everything, so everybody will ask the price.
So we have a Ramesh special.
Okay.
Which is 690,000 only.
Okay.
Yes, but we retail at 800,000. But if you mention Ramesh Entertainment, it's only 690,000.
And you get everything.
Get everything. We'll deliver to your door.
Okay. So that's DM them on Instagram. All right.
If Curry, I'm not attacking you with no arms. I'm just telling you, be careful of Andrew Honest, okay? Be careful of those demons from the pit of hell. Imam Babs Great is a demon from the pit of hell. And I'm just calling out you to be careful of them. When the storm blow, nobody was there to assist your people. And in the time when you make your road and make your pass and go through, your people them couldn't go through. We never need after them. You see the disrespect with them, disrespect all your bodyguard, Mr. Curry. You see how him bring 1,000 blood clot police and bodyguard round him. Why make Andrew go to him have so much Batman round him? So much suck pussy police boy and batty boy about them a bodyguard. A bodyguard, them a bodyguard. So them violated their security, your bodyguard down there. You know what, a friend from Andrew one is Mr. Curry. Mr. Curry, the people in Jamaica and the world and the Maroon, them have your back. You don't need no help from Andrew. You don't need nothing from blood clot. So could Andrew and Nancy blood clot. Babs the Grain. So me just tell you, say, watch out.
Ashe. Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Honest, on behalf of the indigenous people of Akompong and the wider Maroon districts of Cockpit Country, I send sincere appreciation for your recent visit to our community and for the government of Jamaica's expression of support following the destruction caused by Hurricane Melissa. Your presence, accompanied by the several ministers of government, marked the first official visit of your administration to Akompong since my election in 2021, and it was warmly welcomed by our people. We remain grateful for the humanitarian gesture extended to the Akompong people and for your willingness to mobilize resources, particularly those of the JDF military, to assist with the recovery efforts. We also acknowledge your reference on international partners, including Ethiopia, Ghana, and Rwanda, who have expressed readiness to assist in the island's rebuilding efforts. Honorable Prime Minister, following a deep, comprehensive internal review and a formal deliberation, the full Maroon Council has this time decided not to accept the offer on the militarization of the space during the recovery effort. The full Maroon Council instead has resolved to continue with the response, utilizing civilian resources from our joining communities and our partners, both locally and internationally, who have offered to the community their assistance in the recovery efforts. Instead, the Council would like to thank you for the offer on materials and would accept the offer on those materials and equipment necessary to assist in those recovery efforts. We want to ensure, Mr. Prime Minister, that harmony and inclusiveness of our Maroon human resources, of those here in Akompong and adjoining communities, are balanced to execute the infrastructural relief efforts across our Maroon communities. This methodology aligns with our laws and cultural way of life. This decision is based also on the following considerations. 1. The established reconstruction partnerships and resources Akompong has secured through international donations, through technical sponsorships, and volunteer engineering assistance sufficient to address the rebuilding and development needs arising from the hurricane. These partnerships, coordinated through the Akompong Development Foundation, reflect years of relationship building, and they provide to us a structured, culturally and aligned framework for reconstruction across the Maroon territory. The second consideration was the protection of community well-being and trauma sensitivities. As you would have recognized, our community was significantly devastated, and many of our elders, some of the women as well as children, have endured profound emotional trauma. In the aftermath, the introduction of military personnel carrying assault rifles, as we would have seen just the other day, even in a humanitarian capacity, could exacerbate and distress and cause additional distress among residents of the community. The Council believes that reconstruction conducted through civilian and community-based teams is the most appropriate path for maintaining emotional security and cultural stability at this time. This, I'm sure, you can understand, Mr. Prime Minister. Ashe. Ashe.
That's Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Opposition members, though, had some questions, had some concerns. We're joined by the opposition spokesperson on finance, Julian Robinson. Mr. Robinson, appreciate you joining us as always. Thank you so much.
Good evening to you, Dion, and good evening to your listeners.
I know you did ask some questions, as did the opposition leader raised some issues as well. For you, hearing of this multi-billion US dollar package, what are your major questions at this point?
Well, I think we need to get the details. Let me start off by saying I think it is a positive thing for the country that the international financial community has responded quickly. But the devil is always in the details. So the questions I asked were, what are the terms of the majority of these things are loans. Of the 6.7 billion, only 12 million US was in grants, which are for technical assistance. So everything else is loans. So we are taking on debt. So what would be important to understand is what is the What are the terms of the debt that we're taking on? What interest rates are we paying? What's the tenor of the debt? Are we going to be benefiting from like a moratorium on interest for a while, principal for a while? The problem is we know none of these things. So while it is important that, because we obviously need the money to deal with the recovery and the rebuilding, it is equally important to know what we're taking on. And unfortunately, the government said they don't have those details at this point in time, which I found a little surprising, because I felt if you had discussions with the IFIs, even if you haven't dotted every I and crossed every T, you should be in a position to say in broad terms, you know, these loans are 20-year things at this interest rate, and we have a 3-year moratorium on interest, something like that. But none of those details were available. And as such, it makes it difficult to do the assessment, for example, of when you look at the projections for debt to GDP and what it will move to. The projections that the minister spoke about in Parliament do not account for the $6.7 billion that will be added to the debt stock over a 3-year period.
Let me just go to what the finance minister had to say about the managing debt to GDP.
It's really a shame that the international financial community is still...
Okay, let me just go ahead with Mr. Robinson then. In terms of the that issue that you mentioned, one of the things the finance minister was stressing was that the country will be able to manage, were the word she used, the debt to GDP ratio, and therefore she wasn't visualizing or wasn't going to be projecting any increase. Let's listen in.
Madam Speaker, for those who are speculating about what funds we have received thus far, we've been utilizing most of our own funding, as well as what we've received for insurance proceeds. And I'd like to say, as we go forward, we will obviously increase the granularity of what we report on, but I can say that I can report that all in-kind supplies that were consigned to Out+M will be accounted for. You heard Prime Minister talk earlier about the system that is becoming available there. At our seaport and airports, all of the in-kind that passes there for individuals, companies, charities that come through customs will be accounted for already. I have a report from customs that shows me the value, how many persons or how many, what was the input through the customs system. Individuals who bring suitcases or of supplies for families and friends via their checked or unchecked baggage on flights, obviously, that's not going to be accounted for by the government. Cash and kind sent to the opposition, families and friends, obviously is not going to be accounted for by the government. So if anybody wants to know how much the opposition has received, it is a question that should be...
Okay, listening there, let's just take it there. The Finance Minister, Favour Williams, there talking in Parliament. So is it that you're saying, based on the information we have at this point, or don't have, Mr. Robinson, you think it's coming up with doing deep analysis then on what we can expect for some of these projections and levels isn't possible at this point?
It's difficult to do because, for example, the program is 6.7 over a 3-year period. We don't know yet what we will draw down in year one. You must.
Sorry, just for my listeners, 6.7 billion US dollars.
US over a 3-year period. So we don't know, for example, are we pulling down 2 billion in year one? You must have an initial increase in the debt to GDP because you are borrowing more than you had planned, and your GDP is going to contract because tourism has fallen off, other industries have contracted. So there must be a contract. There must be an increase in that ratio, which is expected. The question is, you want to be able to project accurately based on the additional debt you're taking on. But based on what the government said, that the minister said, the details of how the monies will be accessed and the terms have not yet been worked out. And so it becomes difficult to have that a more accurate projection for the medium term in terms of what your debt to GDP. And more importantly for me is working out what is the economic recovery plan, right? I mean, we know you have to deal with restoration in the areas that are devastated, the initial things of cleaning up, clearing, housing, etc. But then going forward to the medium term, in the 6 to 9 to 12 months, what are going to be the plans to grow the economy? We know there's going to be capital expenditure, but as I said yesterday, we have not been able to spend our capital budget over the last 4 or 5 fiscal years. How are we going to manage differently now so that we can grow faster coming out of this natural disaster? So those were part of the questions that I had and other members had that we weren't able to get answers to, and I asked the minister when would she be in a position to come back to the parliament with the details, and she couldn't give a specific date on that. She said sometime in the future.
In relation to information flow, the minister made mention in that clip of a comment the Prime Minister had made. He spoke of this inventory system that's being designed. At one of the press conferences I went to, were told by Out+M that a special system is being designed, a special bespoke, meaning custom-made system is being designed to show inventory and to show the receipt and the use of all the funds and relief efforts and so on. That is not yet available, that kind of information on a broad scale.
For example, I think it would be helpful, like for the website, for you to have a daily tracker or weekly or whatever it is. So you can say, we have, I know they've said this in press conferences, we've raised X amount of money, we have used Y to do these things, because you're asking the public to contribute, and the public wants to know the monies have come in, what the monies are being used for, etc. I think it would enhance transparency if something like that was done and put on the website, so it's easily accessible information for everybody to see, as an example. And importantly, how we plan to use the money. So one of the questions I asked, the loan funds, are the loan funds specifically geared to just Melissa recovery things, or can they be used otherwise? That's important to know, you know, and what, are there any conditionalities related to these things? So, you know, as I said, it is a positive thing that the international financial community responded quickly, but the devil is always in the details, and the country needs to have a better appreciation of what the package itself will look like over the 3-year period.
The Prime Minister has said this is a huge opportunity for the country to rebuild in a modern way that will put us in an improved position to resist storms of this nature in the future. You agree with this idea of this money being a big opportunity?
Well, it depends on, all right, so one of the issues that, so in the areas, Westmoreland has probably, even though in dollar value, it was probably the second or the third worst parish, the number of houses destroyed was the largest in Westmoreland, because many of the houses are wood structure. Now, part of the reason they are wood structure is because people don't have land tenure. Now, if you're going to encourage people to build back stronger and better, they need to have security of tenure on the land. And so that's an issue that has to be fast-tracked and resolved so that people are not putting back up wood structures. Now, the reality, a Category 5 is not a lot that can withstand that, but you certainly are in a better position with a concrete block structure than you are with a wood structure. And our ability to enforce building standards has to improve, because I think we know that, you know, throughout our history, we have not been very good as a country in enforcing these standards. And so parish, local authorities working with central government will have to step that up. But the immediacy is you have to get shelter for people. I mean, you know, we are 5 weeks in, and there are still people who have nothing over their head. And I know there are temporary housing that is being brought in. That may solve some of the problem, but that's not tomorrow. So you have to figure out how you're going to help people who right now have nothing to have a roof over their head. So to me, I would, you know, my expectation is to hear immediate, short, medium term in terms of what the planning is, and from the economic side, what is it that we're going to do differently using these borrowed resources so that we can build back stronger. We have heard at a very broad level, but in terms of specifics, there's very little.
I just have one more question I'd like to ask you. If you could give me just a few more moments. I have to take a break and do some fundraising of our own here on Beyond the Headlines. So stay tuned, folks. We soon come. For staying with us, we continue with you on Beyond the Headlines. I'm Dion Jacksmiller, just wrapping up a conversation with the opposition spokesperson on finance, Julian Robinson. Mr. Robinson, a lot of people have been asking if the PNP plans to publish its accounts of the fundraising it's been conducting for the hurricane.
I'm sure we will. I mean, we have done. I'm not an officer of the party, but the party does its annual reports, which are required by the Electoral Commission of Jamaica. We've published those summaries on our website, so I know the party would have no issue in doing that.
Why not on an ongoing basis, like you're asking of the government?
Why not what?
On an ongoing basis, like you're asking of the government?
No, we do it annually, which is what is most accounts, when people prepare your accounts, is generally done on an annual basis, so that's what we do.
No, but this is a specific targeted fundraising account for a specific purpose.
So
I'm saying, sorry, let me just finish the question. So I'm saying, why not pull that out in the interest of transparency, which is what we've been talking about on the government side?
And I'm saying to you that I don't believe the party would have any difficulty in doing so. And I'm using the examples of what we have done, that we have done our annual reports. So I'm saying, from my perspective, I don't think the party would have any issue in indicating what has been raised so far and how those monies have been used.
Okay, we'll follow. Appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, now.
My wisdom warriors, yes, I'm going to let you know. Want to tell me what you think, want to tell me how you feel about all this, and put an honest opinion in the comment section. Like up the video, share it out, and subscribe to my channel. And if you're new to my channel, welcome, and big up on the nice clean self. One love.
Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave. They can tell me how we can do it together. When we look at the future of precipice, we see Jamaica needs the vision of the PNP. People said the bag of promises them can't carry go shop. And the crime rate getting high. I wonder when it all goes to comrades. Jamaican people want better. Economy coming like stormy weather. Ancestors are turning on them grave.
The proceeding was brought to you by the People's National Party.
You elect a prime minister, and is a prime minister around the country. It is time we learn to hold our leaders accountable for their actions and stop making excuses for them. Stop making excuses. Otherwise, go elect the people who really run in the country. And I don't want the right start that stupid argument. Hold the people you elect accountable and stop making excuses for them.